Welcome to the Society.
Before we descend into madness, please be advised that the following program contains topics and cases describing graphic violence, strong sexual content, explicit language, and elements that may not be suitable for some audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello?
In the stillness of Pueblo, Colorado, on the early morning of August 11th, an unusual call came through at 3:28 a.m. to the Pueblo Police Department Communications Center. When the dispatcher answered, the line was alive but empty. No voice, no cry for help, just the eerie hiss of static and then silence. Hidden in the silence, a muffled low voice could be heard in what has been labeled as inaudible to this day. The call, although brief, left the dispatcher and authorities curious. Quickly, they traced the call, and eerily enough, the location came into focus: Imperial Memorial Gardens, which was a funeral home and cemetery. Two officers were dispatched to investigate. As they approached the cemetery, their headlights cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but the locked gates of the funeral home. Not a single light flickered inside. The place was sealed tight, with no sign of anyone or intrusion. The following day, the funeral home's owners reported no disturbances, no break-ins, nothing out of the ordinary, with no evidence to suggest otherwise. Perhaps it was nothing, or perhaps it was something else. Welcome to a world where darkness and mystery converge. Navigate the depths of horror and true crime and join a society beyond the ordinary, where buzzworthy topics, paranormal tales, and listener-submitted experiences blend into a realm of the unknown. You have crossed into a place where the unusual and the terrifying are just the beginning. My name is Ralph Anthony, and welcome to the Scream Society podcast. Hello, Screamers. In the dawn of a very demure trend and the cancellation of celebrities who are alleged mean girls, apparently it ends with you, Blake Lively. I truly hope everyone out there is hanging in there. Before diving into this week's Sinister Subjects, can we all admire and gush over the podcast artwork? More specifically, the hunky version of myself. I have been such a fan of Clark Makes Art, who is an artist I came across on social media. Though he does all genres, I specifically was drawn to his horror art, which at times has its own little spin on it. It's great. So I went out on a limb during the brainstorming process of this whole rebrand I've been going through of the podcast, and I thought I need to ask him to paint me like one of his French girls. And I'm so happy with the collab, so I just wanted to give Clark a little shout out. And for the full piece, check it out on the podcast Instagram and Clark's Instagram at Clark Makes Art. So many great pieces on there, and he's just so talented. Now, who's ready to get into some sinister subjects? We're starting off on a rather unusual note here. Randonautica. It's a combination of the words random and nautica. By the way, I always thought Nautica was just a clothing brand sold at Macy's. Randonautica is a mobile app that anyone can download from their app store. It generates random coordinates based on whatever theme you choose. Auburn Salcedo and Joshua Linkfelder launched the app back in February of 2020, and it gained widespread popularity during the global pandemic. Remember those days? The app offers 3 types of coordinates: an attractor, a void, or an anomaly. It sounds intriguing, but also it could be a bit confusing. Stay with me here. So what people have actually found using this app raises serious questions about how it's still operational. And at the same time, it's even played a role in solving homicide cases. One of the most significant cases linked to Randonautica involves a group of people who used the app and were sent to a beach in West Seattle. When they arrived, they found a bag containing dismembered human remains. The bodies were later identified as 27-year-old Austin Wenner and 35-year-old Jessica Lewis, who had been reported missing by their families weeks prior. Now, Seattle police and firefighters searched the area and found more human remains stuffed in several trash and duffel bags. These remains then led the police to the couple's landlord, 65-year-old Michael Dudley. And on August 24th, 2020, Dudley was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder after the investigation revealed that he had shot Wenner and Lewis on June 9th of 2020. They had been renting a bedroom in Dudley's home, and the motive seemed to be related to unpaid rent and possible criminal activity. Prosecutors said Dudley tried to hide their bodies in different waterways after dismembering them, and after a 3-year case, Dudley was finally sentenced to 46 years and 8 months in prison in April of 2023. So the app has actually saved a life because a teen named McKenna shared a video of her Randonautica adventure on Instagram and TikTok, where she was visibly shaken and crying in a video that she posted. She later explained that she had typed in the intention death, which led her to an area where she found a person lying on the ground, shot. And thankfully, she got to the victim in time, and the 23-year-old was saved and taken to a nearby hospital. Talk about luck here. In response to the controversy, Randonautica's creators have stated that if the app generates coordinates on private property, it's against their terms and conditions to trespass. They've also faced allegations that the app is being used for human trafficking, but the creators have denied this, explaining that all data collected by the app is anonymous. The app is still up and is still running today as I speak on this. So I'm the type of person who always needs to know why. Like, there always has to be a why for me. I'm like a 5-year-old child. Why? And don't get me wrong, I understand the need for something to do during the pandemic, especially. Do you remember those times? Like, there was nothing to do. Everything was closed. Everything closed early. Everything was to go only, takeout. And I can relate to that, to wanting to have something to do, right? However, when users type in something as direct as death, they should expect to be led to something eerily similar to the prompt. Do any of you have any experiences with the Randonautica app? Let me know at beacons.ai/The Scream Society. So what's the deal with Wade Wilson? And no, I'm not talking about the Marvel superhero, although the media has dubbed him as the Deadpool killer since they do share the same name. Now, Wade Wilson, I'm sure some of you have seen photos of him or videos that have been circulating. He is a male with very disturbing tattoos on his face, such as swastikas, and even a Joker-inspired smile over his mouth. It's quite unsettling. So, allegedly, Wade is or was gay. I don't know the timelines. They're confusing, but there have been phone calls with Wade and another man by the name of Joey that have leaked. But before we get into those phone calls, here's some context here. Wade Wilson, who is from Fort Myers, Florida, was convicted of killing 2 women in Cape Coral in 2019. He was 25 years old at the time when he met his first victim, 35-year-old Christine Melton, and her friend Stephanie Sailors on October 7th of 2019, while out at a Fort Myers bar. Once the bar closed, Wade and the 2 women left and went to the home of a man by the name of Jason Shepard. Now, they apparently were at his home for hours before they left in the morning. The three then left to Christine Melton's Cape Coral home, and once her friend Stephanie Sailors left, Wade Wilson strangled Christine while she was sleeping in her bed and then stole her car. He drove off. Sometime later, he would then see 43-year-old Diane Reese, who was walking along a Cape Coral street. He pulls over, asks her for directions to a nearby school, then proceeds to convince her to get into the car. She gets in, but and can I respectfully say here, if there is ever a case that will teach someone what not to do, it would be this one. So when Diane tried to exit the car, Wade attacked her. He brutally beat her. Then he strangled her before pushing her body out onto the road. He then began to run her over with the vehicle over and over, approximately 10 to 20 times is what is being reported. Then he moved the body to a nearby field where she was found 3 days later. At this point, Wade decides to call his dad multiple times until he is able to confess to him what he had just done. And it's reported that Wade had gone into extreme gruesome detail of the murders. His father recounts Wade's confession, saying he admitted to choking Christine Melton after she went to sleep and stopping Diane Reese for directions before she got into the car, choking her while he drove around, also that she was still breathing when he ran her over multiple times. Thankfully, his dad contacted authorities and Wade was arrested on October 8th, 2019. He was tried and found guilty of 6 charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, grand theft, battery, burglary, petty theft, and was later charged for trying to escape from prison and drug charges. Now, during this trial, defense experts claim that Wade had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, depression, anxiety, adjustment disorder, bipolar disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. And as of recently, Wade could face the death penalty. So here's where the case takes a complete nosedive into what the actual fuck is going on territory. Because a phone call has surfaced that is allegedly between Wade and this guy named Joey. Now, who is leaking these phone calls is a mystery, but more allegations of Wade possibly using Joey for his money have also surfaced. So this phone call is believed to have taken place after the arrest in late 2019 or early 2020, sometime around there. Like I said, the timelines of this whole charade are very confusing. So the phone call, it starts with Wade greeting Joey, who immediately calls him babe. Things quickly take a romantic turn as Joey mentions he needs to shower, and Wade responds that he wishes he could join him. Wade also playfully calls Joey babe several times throughout the conversation, and like any caring boyfriend, Joey reassures Wade that he can share anything with him if he's having a tough day. Wade then admits that thinking about Joey always makes him feel better, to which Joey responds by suggesting that they get married. This is nuts. They start discussing life after prison, with Joey mentioning that he has a lot of laundry to do, but oddly enough, he enjoys it. Wade then responds, "That's really good because when I get out there, I hate laundry." It's very gross and just cringy how they're speaking with one another, but I mean, to each their own, I guess. So it's important to note that Wade isn't getting out of prison. And this conversation took place 5 years before he was convicted of murdering the 2 women. And despite the fact that he was in jail awaiting trial for these murders, Joey doesn't seem too concerned. It's probably something that we're all thinking right now. And it was subtly kind of confirmed by what Wade says next about him using Joey. So Wade kindly asks how Joey is feeling since he had been sick apparently during that whole time, and Joey reassures him that it comes and goes, but that he's feeling better. And at this point, Wade casually brings up a request for money, and after a brief pause, Joey agrees to put money on Wade's books. They then have a brief discussion about how to send money to Wade, and the convicted killer reminds Joey that he has already contacted the chaplain. It sounds like Wade is referring to a wedding. Joey then confesses, "I'm in love with you," to which Wade replies, "I'm in love with you too." Let's just take a listen to some highlights from the actual alleged call.
How you doing, baby? Hey, how's your day?
I'm
doing good. It's been okay. Sometimes I go in and out. You know, like when I think about you, though, it makes everything a lot better. But today was okay. Like honestly, you know, like when I exercise and I work out, like of course I feel better. You know, I get everything flowing a little bit. And actually, I just got done working out like 10 minutes ago, and then I was thinking of you, and I was like, okay, I have to call him. Like I want to call him so bad and hear his voice. So you know, yeah, no, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, no problem.
We're getting married, babe.
We're getting married, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, babe, I turned in my my form for my pizza, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I gotta put money in, right? Your books.
Yeah, whenever you can. To be honest with you, they don't. I don't think they take it out today, but it's better to do it so that they, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I already turned in the form. I just wanted to let you know. And
what's the website where I put this in?
It's. Hold on.
I know I've done it before, but I just can't think of it right now.
It's Connect Network.
Network, yeah.
Yeah, Connect. And then you might need my. I think I sent it to you on the message, one of our messages, like my ID number. But you could probably. I'm sure you can look that up. Yeah. That's not very hard to find out. Hey, and did you read my message where I told you that I wrote the chaplain, right? I told you I'm serious.
Yeah.
You asked me, am I serious, Joey? Yes, baby, I'm serious. You asked me if I'm serious. Yes. You know what I was scared of? I was scared that maybe you were just out having so many drinks and such a good time that you were feeling. You know what I mean? Like maybe you wanted to, but then.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's so fucking stupid and weird, but I'm in love with you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't give a fuck either. I give a fuck that you're in love with me, but I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. This is what I was gonna tell you. Okay, hold on. All the friends that I have, like on the outside and stuff like that, down in the Keys and here and other places, like. Some of them know that, like, you know, that you know who I am. You know what I mean? Like the real me. Yeah. Not all of them do, but some of them do. And really, it's, you know, they honestly, Joey, they don't judge me. You know, and they never really. Yeah, they never did, man. They never did. That's called your real friends. So.
That's called a real friend, you know. Well, listen, if we're gonna talk about what hurt somebody, then I think that I deserve to go first because you, Joey, have been doing so much shit to me, hurting my fucking heart, breaking me down, trying to give me a little bit of glimmer of hope when you come back around, and then you delete me, and then you re-add me, then you delete me, and then you say you're going to delete me again. What the fuck, man?
I'm not perfect. But regarding the situation, what we're talking about, what happened right now.
Okay.
Like, we'll cover that, dude, and I've apologized before, and we can, the second we finish discussing this, and dude, please don't get excitable and raise your voice and stuff. I'm not going to need to fight him. But dude, all the shit that I see on the news, every article I see, I'm like, no, trust me, believe me.
Hey, Joey, listen, and I want to tell you something too. You don't have to ask me to be engaged with you to make me feel good or something because I'm in a bad situation. I don't need for you to be perfect. I mean, look at me, Joey. I'm far from perfect, you know, like, but I don't know, man.
Wait, let's just look. I don't know what we're not
maybe
now.
Yeah, we're gonna be able. Hey, you know we're gonna be able to FaceTime soon, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, dude, I'm 52. I've had like phones for every year. I've never talked from my phone to somebody in video. I literally have never. So, dude, I want to know. No, but seriously, before you go on, and I've been disrespectful with you. I've been upset with you. I've doubted myself. I doubted you. I think when I come back, I apologize.
You do. You do. Yeah. But Joey, but I appreciate you apologizing, but at the same time, do you think that it's fair, Joey, for you to delete me and re-add me and delete me and re-add me?
Does Joey not know the full story here? I guess you really can't help who you fall in love with, right? And actually, this reminds me of those reels on Instagram. And I've only ever seen them on Instagram, but they're basically men who are in prison creating these videos that are made to attract a potential lover or relationship. Think of those speed dating videos from the 90s. It's very bizarre. What's also bizarre is the fact that women on social media are advocating for Wade Wilson to be released, claiming that he is innocent even though he has admitted to killing these two women. And as for Mr. Joey, it's neither confirmed or denied as of right now if the two are still in contact or if Wade is even fully gay. There are so many claims and allegations that the killer is bisexual and is having sex with cellmates. I also know he did have a girlfriend at some point in recent years. It's just all very confusing, like I said, and I'm sure more tea will be spilled. This is definitely one story I will be keeping tabs on. Ending Sinister Subjects on a somewhat lighter note. Flashback to May of this year, a man by the name of Sean Herman, a former officer with the Metro Nashville Police Department, was arrested and ultimately dismissed from his position after allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because I have to. So he allegedly participated in a video for OnlyFans while on duty, and I'm 99% positive we all know what OnlyFans is here, right? I shouldn't assume, actually. OnlyFans hosts a variety of content, with a majority of the content being not safe for work. Well, Officer Herman participated in OnlyFans creator's mock traffic stop video. He was identified after fellow detectives recognized him as soon as the video went viral. Then he was arrested on May 9th. He was at his home at the time of the arrest and charged on 2 counts of felony official misconduct for his involvement. Now, I'll try not to go into too much detail here, but trust me when I say I've seen much worse on X, formerly known as Twitter. The video did have my jaw on the floor regardless. So the video shows former Officer Herman, who can be identified by his MNPD uniform, walk up to a vehicle's driver's side window during a fake traffic stop. There's a woman in the driver's seat who claims she doesn't have any form of identification. They continue to go back and forth until the woman suggests if pulling her shirt down could help the situation, to which she pulls her shirt down, exposing her breasts. Former Officer Herman then proceeds to grope her for a few seconds, then himself, then walks away, leaving the woman to act shocked that she just got away from getting a ticket. As I mentioned, he was arrested and suspended indefinitely. He agreed to the suspension of his certification indefinitely. He is scheduled to appear in court on September 19th of this year for further developments in this case. He had only served as an officer with the Metro Nashville Police Department for about 3 years before this whole incident. That was a choice. Maybe my guy can pursue his own career as an OnlyFans creator, since law enforcement didn't quite work out for him. Let's take a break. Terrifying but true and listener submissions after this.
Hi listeners, it's Mark from the Release Date Rewind podcast, now on the Straw Hut Media Network. On each episode of my show, I invite a different friend or two to take a trip down memory lane with me and rewatch movies we love. And occasionally TV shows too. All genres, big budget, low budget, award winners, cult classics, everything. And we're not just talking about any random movie. We nerd out about movies that are celebrating milestone anniversaries of release. So think the big ones like 20th anniversary, 25th, 30th, 40th, 50th, and so on. Learn some trivia and get nostalgic with us while listening to Release Date Rewind wherever you get your podcasts.
When the unthinkable becomes reality, we find ourselves questioning everything, as some stories are too terrifying but true. Catherine Kitty Genovese was born on July 7, 1935, in Brooklyn, New York. She worked as a bar manager and was living in the Kew Gardens neighborhood of Queens, New York City. In the early hours of March 13, 1964, Kitty Genovese was attacked by Winston Mosley as she walked home from work. The attack took place outside her apartment building. Mosley first stabbed her in the back, causing her to scream for help. Several neighbors heard her screams, and lights in nearby apartments turned on, but no one immediately intervened. It was reported that one neighbor shouted at the attacker, causing Mosley to flee temporarily, but he returned 10 minutes later to continue the assault. He stabbed her multiple times, sexually assaulted her, and robbed her before fleeing the scene. The entire attack took place over a span of about 30 minutes. Kitty Genovese died from her injuries on the way to the hospital. The murder became infamous after the New York Times published an article on March 27th of 1964, stating that 38 people had witnessed and heard the attack but did nothing to help. This report led to widespread outrage and a national debate on people in urban environments. The notion that 38 people watched and did nothing would later be criticized as an exaggeration. While some witnesses did hear or see parts of the attack, most did not fully understand what was happening, and only a few could have directly intervened. Nonetheless, the case became a symbol of the bystander effect, a social psychological phenomenon where individuals are less likely to offer help in an emergency when others are present, assuming someone else will take action eventually. It was reported that some bystanders did attempt to call local authorities and were even placed on hold due to other focuses. The case highlighted the need for a better emergency response system, and thus the 911 emergency call system was created and implemented in the United States in 1968, partly in response to the Genovese case. Winston Moseley was arrested 6 days after the murder. He confessed not only to killing Kitty Genovese, but also to 2 other murders and several burglaries. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death, though his sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment. He died in 2016. If you would like me to share an experience of yours, share something you find creepy or interesting, or simply want to ask me a question, head on over to beacons.ai/A Society and click on the society submissions link. Remember, everything remains anonymous. Let's get into a few of these. We'll do a couple questions since these should be quick. Then I've got a couple submissions. Plans for Halloween this year. Outfit, Escape Halloween? Escape Halloween as like the rave? I probably will not be doing Escape Halloween. I tend to stray away from like festivals because of my fear of tragic events unfolding. Is that an actual phobia yet? Also, raves haven't been my thing since I was like 23, 24. Nothing against them. They're just like not what I'm into anymore. And as far as plans, most likely I'll probably be visiting a few haunted attractions, Halloween Horror Nights maybe. For the California ghouls, I've been wanting to check out Six Flags Fright Fest as well, if you guys know what that is. As for costume, I never have an outfit for Halloween planned. Like ever. I just kind of wing it. Hi Ralph, I heard your tribute to Shannon Doherty and thought you touched on a lot of points that a number of us experience. We shouldn't feel ashamed for mourning someone even if we don't personally know them. As a fellow Charmed fan, I just want to say thank you. Also, I've been a listener since the beginning and I'm so happy you decided to start showing your face. Love the revamped show and look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you. I'm glad I could identify with someone. Like I said, when I shared that I felt sort of lost, like almost ashamed to feel sadness over the situation. I felt so ashamed that I joined a few Charmed groups just so I wouldn't feel so alone. And in like reality, no one should ever feel ashamed. These are real feelings. These are real emotions. So thank you for your support on that whole topic. And thank you for being such a supporter of the entire show. Let's get into this week's listener experiences. The first one is the one I received from TikTok, and I did have some follow-up after. So here's what they had to say. When I was about 4 years old, I had a dream. I was transported up to what I believe to be a spaceship. I was strapped to a table. There were creatures standing over me. I couldn't see their faces due to the bright lights, but they weren't speaking any language I knew. This would last for what felt like hours. Then when they were finished, I would be dropped out of the ship over the desert, and right before I hit the ground, I would wake up. I would have this dream for the next 3 years, same every time on the same day. When I was 9, I saw a picture of the Grand Canyon from aerial view for the first time. It was the exact same layout as where I was dropped from the ship in my dreams. Haven't had those dreams again, but I used to be a truck driver overnight. Every now and then, I would look up at the sky while driving and see what I would think to be a plane flying over. This would happen at least once a month. The object would fly at the same speed my truck was driving for about 10 miles, then take off so fast it disappeared before I could finish blinking. Kind of weird. I'm not one to believe in crazy stuff, but always feel like I'm being watched. I actually do believe that extraterrestrials, or whatever we want to refer to them as, do have some sort of an attraction to certain individuals. And I've heard so many stories like this. I find it so fascinating. As for your situation with the dreams and the truck driving and the following of the like light or flying object, I would definitely keep an eye on that. I mean, nothing to like worry over or stress over. I don't know. I just look up in the sky more often. This next one. You ever see those wild dash cam clips of people barely dodging some shady situations in the middle of nowhere, like robberies, carjackings, and probably worse? Well, I'm pretty sure I lived through something like that. I was driving from Lancaster, California to Flagstaff, Arizona on this lonely 2-lane road through straight up nothingness. It was late afternoon, and yeah, I was rolling solo. I decided to pull over and snap some pics, anything for the gram, right? Then I kept cruising toward some mountains. As I got to the top of a mountain pass, I hit this canyon with steep rocky cliffs up ahead. I spotted flashing lights reflecting on the road as it was getting dark, so I slowed down. There was this white Audi stopped sideways, blocking both lanes. Emergency lights on with a suitcase and clothes scattered around and 2 bodies lying face down, a man and a woman. I stopped a few feet back and the hairs on my neck went straight up. Something felt way off, like too staged, you know? And the biggest red flag, the car didn't have a scratch on it. Getting out of the car was a hard no. I zoomed past the car, dodging both bodies, and slowed down a bit to catch my breath, because my heart was about to explode. I glanced in the rear view, and what I saw nearly made me lose it. Those bodies were getting up, and I saw 3 more people emerge out of the hills on both sides of the road. In that moment, I fucking floored it. To this day, I don't know what would have gone down if I'd stopped or gotten out of the car, but I'm damn sure it wouldn't have been good. Wow. And you know what I find so funny? First off, I'm glad you made it out of that potentially harmful situation without a scratch. But what I find so funny is what do we call them? Thieves? Crooks? Psychopaths? Why do these people do the most for some money versus get a job? Even some of these robbery cases I've come across, like imagine going through all this work to rob me and only get a $20 bail and about $10 out of my checking account. And mention to split amongst, how many people did you say in your submission? 5 of you. Get a job. Thank you for tuning into the Scream Society podcast, hosted, written, produced, and edited by yours truly, Ralph Anthony. Help the society grow by subscribing on your favorite platform and leave a rating and review. I always strive for 5s. Have a horror or paranormal experience? Want me to answer your questions on the show? Submit to beacons.ai/The Scream Society. Connect with the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Scream Society Podcast. And until next time, I'll scare you on the next episode.